guys, welcome back to the Click Chick podcast. Today we have Hayley with us.
Hey.
I'm so excited to have you today. Hayley is one of my favorite second photographers. I know before I've talked about that I don't use second photographers a lot, but when I do, Hayley is like one of the first ones that I reach out to because she's so much fun to work with. She's very intuitive as a second photographer, so she'll make sure that there's a cocktail in my client's hand. She's like, oh, you forgot the veil over here. I'm going to go and grab it for you. So it's great. I don't have to think a lot when she's around. But yeah, we met, last year, 2 years ago? I think it was last year, last summer. Yeah. She did a wedding for me. We've done a couple, but yeah, you're definitely near and dear to my heart.
The A-team, for sure.
The A-team. So tell us a little bit about your business. You have a really interesting backstory. So name of the business, how it came up.
Awesome. So my business is Lucky Strike Studio. I'm in the process of transitioning to Hayley Wick Photo, but the origin story for my business, for me, just feels like fate. It almost doesn't feel real. But 6 weeks before my own wedding, I was visiting some friends in Boston, and I was crossing the street and I got hit by a car. And I woke up in Mass General Hospital and had a traumatic brain injury. And was just about to start nurse practitioner school. Things were really rocking and rolling, and everything just came to a halt. And so we went through the wedding. It was definitely not on my A game, but we made it, and my memory was really shoddy. And when I got my wedding photos, I was so in love with them because my memory was terrible. And so I had those tangible memories that brought back the whole day. And then going forward from there, I just was obsessed with photos. And one of the things that I asked for a wedding present, and it's something that I had wanted for years, is a entry-level DSLR camera. And so I got that as a gift for our wedding. And because I couldn't go to work or anything for about a year and a half, I sat on my couch and I watched YouTube videos, and I just took photos of my dog and the plants outside and, learned the ins and outs of my camera. And then once I started feeling better, I reached out to local photographers to, see what I could learn, if I could shadow them, if I could carry their camera bag, just to kind of get in the mix of things. Because being able to get those photos from my wedding and, feel that feeling, I was a puddle when I got them, for real, puddle. And I really just wanted to be able to give that to other people. So initially when I started, I did a lot of weddings, and now I'm transitioning to more of a business or branding photography. But yeah, that's Lucky Strike Studio, which is crazy. But yeah, so it's been a wild ride, but it's been the absolute best.
How long ago was that?
2018.
Okay, 2018. I can't do math. 6 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Crazy.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Yay.
It doesn't even feel real now. Like I tell that story and I'm like, oh.
I feel the same way. I literally told somebody, I had a client call the other day and they asked how long I've been doing it. And I had to think back. I'm like, almost 8 years.
That's crazy.
And 6 years. Like, how did we... It feels like I'm still new.
Yes.
Like, it's so insane to me. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be 10 years before I know it. And how was that for your wedding, like 6 weeks before? I don't know if this is inappropriate, but like,
no such thing.
Did you like look like you had been in an accident on the wedding day? Are you like hobbling around? Did you have like casts?
I got really lucky that when I got hit, I fell backwards. Okay. And so I had a bunch of skull fractures and everything, but my body was okay. And one of my bridesmaids was actually with me, and she was there in the ER and was like, do not shave her head because she's getting married in 6 weeks.
Thank God.
Thank God. So I had a bunch of like staples and stuff, and I had just ditched my cane right before the wedding.
Oh my God. I had like goosebumps.
Yeah, it was crazy. And love my husband. Thank you for marrying me, even though I was a crazy hot mess. But yeah, so I looked okay, but just kind of felt like a shell. Like I kind of smiled and like put on the face for it, which is really sad because I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Because, when you're planning a wedding, you put so much effort and time into it. So yeah, but those photos, man, it just made it so much better because I don't really remember a lot of the day.
How did you find your wedding photographer? Are they like documentary style?
So it's funny because, well, first off, love my photos. But now that I'm a photographer, would I have done it differently? Maybe. But he's a film photographer. So it was all film. And they're so pretty.
So it was no digital photos from the wedding day?
No digital photos.
Oh my gosh.
All film.
Okay.
Which I have like major props for people who do film.
Yeah.
Like he was spot on doing it right. And the colors are beautiful. And we got married in the mountains in Vermont. Like it was beautiful. And so, yeah, I found his work online just because it was so, so beautiful and was obsessed.
Okay.
And so, yeah, best decision. But would I do it differently now? Maybe. It's funny being a wedding professional, right? Like once you know the ins and outs.
Oh, yeah. I would have the hardest time picking, I have like so many talented wedding photographer friends, and I feel like it would be really spicy if I was to get married and just who I would pick because that's competitive. I'm like, who's my favorite photographer?
Yes.
So I might even just go like outside hire and like not hurt anybody's feelings.
Totally. And I think my one thing that I think if I were to do it again, I would do differently, and this is just kind of like shout out to people who might be getting married, is you really want to like vibe with your photographer.
Yes.
And so I loved my photos so much. They were so beautiful. And I think part of it is like, I'm a hype queen when I'm taking photos. Like that's like my goal is to make people feel good. And it was more of like a documentary, like doesn't want to like get involved, which I think was beautiful. And the photos were beautiful. But I think I would choose differently if I could do it again. Just because now what I know about photos, like the whole experience.
How was he with like giving you direction? Like when you were doing your couples portraits, and you might not remember, you said you don't have a ton of memories, but.
I remember the engagement photos, and my husband and I, we definitely drank a few beers before we did our engagement photos.
As you should.
Because we never had professional photos taken, right? Like, how often do you do that? And so I made my husband drink a couple beers with me so we'd like be loosey-goosey and ready to go. And it was good, but it definitely was different. Like, I'm sure if it was you, it would have been so much more fun, you know?
Yeah. Whereas our family session was so silly.
Oh my God. McKenna took family photos for my husband and my baby and I, and it was so much fun.
It was so cute. Like, everybody did a good job. Good spirits from the husband. Yeah. No complaining.
No, he's the best. And he's the best. But yeah, so so I don't know, the wedding photos and the business, and it all feels like a blur now. Like you said, 6 years or whatever it is. I'm like you, I'm not any good at math, but
no, I know we're artists. I have an accountant for that very reason. It's not my job.
Totally.
So with the branding, photography, and everything, where are you at in the process? You're getting ready to launch that this is where you're going? Yeah.
So before the pandemic, my husband and I lived in Vermont. And I worked really closely with this group called Vermont Womenpreneurs. And so I did a ton of branding photography for women in business, which is really my bread and butter, my happy place to hype people up, to help capture their passion for things that they love so much. So I took a little time off because we moved from Vermont to the Triangle. And then we just moved again to Winston-Salem, which is your home.
Welcome home.
Yeah. Which we love. But moving my business so many times, it's been a little tricky. And now we have a daughter, my little baby Addie, who's 1. So I'm finally at the point now where I feel like we're settled in our home. We have a routine and I'm ready to launch back. So I'm about to start working with some local Winston-Salem businesses and probably going to run some minis soon. But yeah, so really psyched, just ready to find that crew of people, the crafters, the makers, the women entrepreneurs who want to elevate their branding.
I love it. All right. So we're going to transition into reading some Reddit stories. You said that you're not familiar with Reddit. So
no.
I'll fill you in. Today, all of the stories come from the thread AITA, which stands for Am I the Asshole? So also listeners, if you're not familiar, I'll give you the fill-in. So basically people just write in to this thread and give their story about some situation that they went through. And then people in the comments vote either YTA, which is you're the asshole, NTA, not the asshole. So we're reading it on behalf of the OP, the original poster. So we're deciding if they're the asshole. There's also no assholes here. And there's something else I can't remember, but basically we're just going to read stories and judge people.
Great.
Which we're great at. We're in the wedding industry. Yeah. We love a little gossip.
Yeah.
Okay, let me pull them up. Is AITA for not giving my sister a discount on wedding photography. I'm a full-time photographer who mostly shoots weddings, but I also do some freelance work for newspapers and magazines on the side. I usually charge about $3,000 for a standard wedding package, which includes 8 hours of photography, a CD with edited images, and an optional engagement shoot. In past years, I've given friends and family members pretty generous discounts for shooting their weddings, 50% off for immediate family, 25% off for friends and other family members. I've only done this 4 times for my older brother, 1 cousin I basically think of as a sister, and 2 close friends. And it worked out because I had plenty of bookings outside of these events to make up for the lost income. My sister and her fiance are having a small wedding this November. They asked me if I would be their wedding photographer. I told them I'd be happy to, but unfortunately, I won't be able to give them a family discount for financial reasons. A lot of my clients have canceled this year because of the ongoing pandemic, which is completely understandable, but I've lost a significant amount of money because of it. My sister is really upset about this and says that it's shitty that I'm charging her $1,500 more than I charged our brother or our cousin. She's taking it extremely personally. I feel really bad about it, but I'm not doing this to be a jerk. If she had gotten married last year, I would have gladly given her the discount. Am I the asshole?
Yes.
Tell me why.
Well, I get the fact that it sucks. Like, the pandemic is hard, y'all. Like,
yeah,
with all the reschedules and like all the lost income. But if you're not going to do it, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of an asshole move to not, especially if you've done it for your other family members.
Yeah, the double standard is hard. Like, if you're going to give the brother a discount, that is rude to not give the sister a discount. I'll give you that.
And it's still some money. It's like, would you rather? Because you're going to be there anyway.
That's true. She's not asking her to do it for free.
Yeah.
So I'm coming around.
Yeah.
Were you initially? I'm saying not the asshole. And my reasoning for it, my sister's getting married in July. And when she was engaged, she was talking about wedding dates. And I told her, I was like, I will not shoot your wedding in October, September. Yeah. I was like, I'm busy. I have 1, 2, sometimes 3 weddings in a weekend. Yes. And I am not going to shoot your wedding for free. Not even that I would have charged her. I basically just told her she wasn't allowed to get married in the fall. I was like, the odds of me coming to your wedding, because it's a lot of money to give up 2 or 3 weddings. I was just like, you can't get married in the fall.
Isn't she getting married on like a Thursday in the summer now?
She is.
You may or may not have had big influence.
I had a little influence. The weekend, I am available the weekend of her wedding, to be fair. The Thursday was her choice because the venue was a lot cheaper. But I do love a weekday wedding too. Like, good for them. It'll be fun.
I can't wait. It'll be great.
And it's like late in the day too. So I think that'll be nice. The ceremony's at 7, so they're doing like a dusk wedding, which will be really pretty.
I love that.
It's going to be so romantic. I can't wait for you to see.
They're so cute too. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh. But all to say, I get why she's charging.
Oh yeah.
But I do feel like so I'm not charging my sister for wedding photography. Obviously I'm paying you. But it's my company that's shooting the wedding. So I'm doing their portraits. I'm doing their first look, everything before Hayley shows up. And then Hayley's going to shoot like family formals and the ceremony and reception. So we're kind of doing like a hybrid thing. So I told my sister Leah that this was my wedding gift to her and that I'm not giving her any other wedding gifts. So
that's a big gift.
It's a big gift. And I'm like so happy to do it. I think it's so sweet. Like, of course, I want to work with her. She told me, she was like, oh, we're uncomfortable working with another photographer because you're the only one who's ever done our portraits. Like, can you please do our first look on the wedding day and whatever? I'm like, yeah, of course. But I am so awkward about taking money from friends. Like, you know this, even when I did your photos, I was like, no, you're not paying me. Like, take me out to dinner or something.
Yeah, I bought you some chicken wings instead.
Yeah. Chicken wings and cider. Such a vibe. I will work for food for friends. But it's like my body clams up whenever somebody's trying to give me money that I'm like, no, like, I love you. I can't do this. And obviously there's limits to that. Like, if friends are constantly asking me for things and whatever, like, I'm not going to do it. But usually I just offer things up to people. Like, I think even the family photos was my idea. I'm like, we need to do this while you still have a young baby.
You're so
like,
sweet.
Let's go. So, okay, you know what? I'm on board. Now
we've worked it out.
We've worked it out, and I do think they're the asshole.
Yeah.
Because like she was going to attend the wedding. If she doesn't shoot the wedding, she's still going to be there.
And she's losing money.
And she's losing $1,500 she could be making. So she's literally losing money. Yeah. And you're expecting your family to pay your salary? That's crazy. Like, go run some ads. Go post on Instagram. Use some hashtags. Like, you can get more business if you want it. My only point with that was I wouldn't do someone's wedding if it was in my busy season. Like, I'm not going to gift it to you. Another example, I had a friend who was going to get married out of state, and she wanted a November date, which is another really busy date out of state. And I was like, I know that I told you this was going to be a wedding gift. Like, years ago when we met, like 4 years ago, I was like, oh, I want to do your wedding someday, whatever. And she was like, do you still want to do it? I'm like, yes, if it's an off season. But if I have to give up an entire weekend to travel and do all of that, I need like a little.
It's a lot. Wedding, I mean, part of the reason why I want to shift away from weddings to just like the back end work for weddings is like insane. It's so much work.
Yeah.
Like you show up all day.
The editing.
Yes, the timeline. So all the things. I mean, so like this girl right here, kudos. She does it well. She's organized. She shows up and like brings the hype. So, it's a lot of work. So just to be like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Yeah. It's not just like showing up one day. It's like days and weeks of work.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. For every hour I'm shooting, it's like 2 hours of editing. Yeah. And then, the driving and so, I think it makes sense to me where she's coming from with why she's questioning it. But I think that's shady.
Agreed.
It's ripping off your family because you need more money. Like, no.
Go rip off somebody.
Go rip off somebody else.
I don't actually mean that, but like,
it's your brother. Yeah. Like, you gave your brother the money, give your sister the money. It was a sister, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was the sister. But no, that's crazy. Okay, we agree. YTA, you're the asshole.
YTA.
All right, next up, am I the asshole for not sharing my wedding pictures? To be honest, I wanted to elope. I'm a low-maintenance female, and my husband appreciates that about me. But I'm the only daughter out of 4, so when I began planning my wedding, I felt guilty trying to elope and ended up having this large, exhausting 135 people wedding instead. I didn't have a wedding party, really just a maid of honor. My mother-in-law and my own mother were asked to dress in a specific color, which my mother changed into her sexy dress in color of her choice after the dinner. That's crazy. Full disclosure, my parents did provide a decent amount of money towards the wedding, but my current husband and I probably contributed 2/3 as much on top of what my parents provided. My parents' friends were also 5/8 of the guest list that attended. I'm going to hold my thoughts on that. We wouldn't have spent that money if I hadn't been pressured into a big wedding. Wedding went forward. Overall, it was beautiful and amazing, but at points I felt that it was more about my parents than my husband and I. So to get to the main question, my photographer has given me a digital link to the photos he took from the wedding. I don't want to share it. I know it will be a question and issue if I don't, but I also don't trust my family to respect how I want these images spread. I don't want them on social media unless I allow, and I want to be the one to print and spread those pictures within the family. Am I the asshole if I don't allow family to access my wedding photos? I know my parents feel entitled to access since they contributed towards the wedding fund. I have a lot of thoughts on this.
I have a lot of thoughts on this. You first this time.
I think she's feeling a little spiteful. I understand not wanting to share the wedding photos because, you don't want everybody to just post them on Facebook and share the direct link where everybody can see everything. But also, there's other ways of sharing it. Like, you could host a party at your house and have your family over and do a little viewing party, stream them to the TV. Like, you can still share them. Not showing your wedding photos is crazy.
Yeah, that makes me feel sad.
Right. Like, your mom wants... I can't imagine if my mom didn't get to see Leah's wedding photos because Leah's just like, my sister, doesn't want everybody to see them.
Well, and especially because it sounds like it was such a big event for the family.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like they were hyped. Like, mom put a sexy dress on after dinner. Like, obviously she was like ready to party, had a good time. They invited a lot of their friends. It sounds like It does kind of sound like the family took it over a little bit.
Oh, definitely. What did she say? 5/8 of the guest list was the family's, which, yes, that's the family's fault. Like, but also the bride could have said no.
Yeah.
Like, stand up for yourself at a point. And this is your wedding. You have to have a little bit of a backbone, or have your husband say something, or your maid of honor say something. Yes. Like, I keep telling my sister throughout the wedding process, I'm like, throw me under the bus. Yeah. Like, if you ever need anything, just throw me under the bus.
Yeah, you gotta have a person.
Yeah. So if you don't want 5/8 of the wedding guests to be, and they didn't even contribute 5/8 of the money, first of all. So, like, how did that even happen?
That's hard. I do feel like there's a lot of pressure when people get married. I also feel like the whole weddings, I feel like have changed so much in the last even 10 years. Yeah. Or 5 years, you know? Because I feel like so my husband and I got married in 2018. And I feel like even since then, it's changed. Mm-hmm. Like the vibe, the expectation, like our wedding was definitely a little bit more formal, I think, than my husband and I. My husband and I are like really not formal.
You're not. No,
my husband like thinks getting dressed is like a short sleeve button down. He's like, I'm ready. I'm like, dude, okay. So yeah, it was definitely more formal. And I think part of that was like the family, you know, trying to, you know, rep it, especially if they were contributing money. Yeah. But I don't know. I think that the wedding photos, especially I feel this way, wedding photos bring so much joy. Mm-hmm. And I agree. You don't have to put the link out, or maybe make a curated link for your, like, the ones that you feel okay sharing. Right. Like, maybe not all of them. Because, like, yeah, you don't like the angle. You don't like that photo. Or you wish that, you know. But, like, maybe make a link for people that would be okay.
I was literally about to say that, too. Because, like, on Pick Time, which is what I used to deliver my client galleries, the clients who you set as, like, the owner of the gallery, they can remove photos from the public link. Yeah. So if you only want to share, I don't know, 50 photos with your guests, you can just share 50 photos with your guests. So yeah, I do. Especially because most of the guests at the wedding were the parents' guests. Yeah. Holding those photos from them just seems so spiteful to me. Yeah. It's like she's mad that it got derailed, but she wasn't speaking up. Yeah. So,
well, then it's like, why is that gonna, like, a grab and grin from cocktail hour? Like, why is that gonna hurt? You know?
Yeah. What are you scared of being shared online? A kissing picture? Like,
which I totally get. Yeah. Hide it.
Yeah. Hide it. Yeah. Don't delete it. Don't delete it.
Don't delete it. You might want it later. It might change your mind.
Photos.
No. Just put them somewhere safe. But yeah, I don't know. I feel it, but I do love your idea of having a viewing party, which I think people should just do that in general. I'm sad. I want to do that. Yes. Is it too late? It's been like 6 years. Is it too late? 5 years?
Invite me over. I'll view. I'll bring some champagne.
Ooh, I love it.
I love seeing everybody's wedding photos.
So fun.
Bring out the album. Let's go. But yeah, I think I would want to see the photos. I'm frustrated by this. Maybe it's because we're photographers, but I'm also not a very private person, so I can't find a reason in my brain why I would want to keep photos from everybody. Yeah. But yeah, her just saying she wants to be in charge of individually distributing the photos to everybody just seems, I keep saying spiteful because that's the best word I can think of. Like, she's mad about how the wedding went down and she wants to punish them.
Yeah, that makes me feel sad.
Yeah.
It's like, let it go. That doesn't help anybody.
Definitely. So yeah, sorry, you're the asshole.
You're the asshole.
All right, next story. Am I the asshole for deleting my cousin's wedding pictures that I wasn't paid for? My younger cousin's wedding was last December, and she asked me to be the photographer for the wedding. I'm a semi-professional photographer. She told me what types of photos she wanted, and I gave her a quote of just under $1,000. Wedding happens, I take the pictures, I edit them, then wait for payment, which we agreed I'd get in full after the wedding before I sent any pictures. However, suddenly, she doesn't have the money and wants to set up a payment plan to pay it off in 8 months and still get the pictures now. It's not that I don't trust her, but once you start opening such doors, you'll find it hard to close them. So I told her we could do the payment plan, but the photos will only be released when the full amount is paid. Didn't even add interest for her. She didn't respond. February rolls in and she asks to at least see samples of the photos to confirm that they were worth the price. I sent her 4 pictures and she says she'll show them to her husband and get back to me. Cue silence for a week or 2 until I asked for an update and she responded saying she's still discussing it with him. I told her that this was getting long and she must start paying now, and she once again ignored me. So I saved the photos on my roommate's flash drive temporarily while I was waiting on an actual hard drive. June came around and he texted me while I was at work saying he needed to use the flash drive and took it from my room, but saw that there were still files on it. He couldn't move it to his laptop because it didn't have enough space, which is why he needed the flash drive. So he was asking if he could delete the files. I said fine, and he deleted them. I still had about 20 of the photos saved to my phone from when I was sending samples, so I just explained the situation in a message to her and sent the existing photos free of charge. That was last month, and I'm still getting flamed for this. She's been slandering me online, and it's quite literally created a division between our families to the point that our moms don't even talk now. I obviously feel bad, but also feel like, given the circumstances, I wasn't really in the wrong, though. I still acknowledge that it's obviously very shitty for her that I would have wished to avoid. What do you guys think? Am I the asshole?
Woof.
Oh my God, I've been holding in a laugh like this entire time.
That gives me so much anxiety. Like thinking about that. I mean, first off, I'd never put myself in that situation.
Yeah.
But whew, that sucks.
She said I'm a semi-professional photographer, so I am really seeing the semi coming out. Where's the professionalism? First of all, take the payment up front.
Yes.
What are you doing waiting until after the wedding to get paid? There's no incentive.
No.
I take 100% of a payment up front before I show up to the wedding day because once I do it, you have no reason to pay me.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't pay me up front, I'm not showing up to your wedding.
Yeah.
So, like, there's something to leverage there, which is why we take the money up front.
Yes.
So, saying I'll wait until after the wedding, I get it. It's a cousin.
Yeah.
So, you wouldn't think family's going to screw you over.
Wow.
But then we hear stories like this, and I remember that family can screw you over.
Wow.
Deleting them?
That makes me feel really sad. But also, what is that, like, the bride doing by not, like, I don't know. It sounds like it was, like, 6 months or something. Like, it's not like it was a week later. Yeah.
The wedding was in December, and
it was
then
like
in
July.
June, he deleted them.
Yeah.
But
and it
also,
sounds like she kept reaching out, being like, I honestly don't know how to answer this one. I really don't.
Like, if you're going to delete them, just give them away for free at that point. Right? Like, you already did the work.
Yeah, I guess.
Or would you hold more of a grudge? I think I'm too nice
I'd probably give them to her.
I don't like conflict with family.
Well, yeah, it's like, is that worth ruining the relationship with your family? No.
But also, you're going to wait 6 months to see your wedding photos?
It just sounds all weird.
And then talking to the husband for 2 weeks, being like, is this even worth the money? Like, it doesn't seem like she cared that much.
No. Or she didn't have the money, which is, like, shady for her to say she was going to pay.
Right. And
you know, why not?
Payment plan for $1,000 over 8 months. That's like, what? Barely over $100 a month. I can't do math. But
yeah.
I'm going to just name the episode I Can't Do Math. Yeah, I don't know. This one hurts my chest.
Yeah.
Because it's just deleting the photos because you don't have storage. A flash drive you can get for like $18.
Yeah.
Go buy a flash drive at CVS.
It sounds like at this point she was just pissed.
Yeah. And didn't want to deal with it anymore. It's petty.
Yeah, it's not great. It's really... Because wedding photo, you can never get those back.
No, you can't redo it. And then you got photos of grandma that you're not going to be able to replicate, you know? Like, that's what I think of. I'm so nostalgic. I'm just like, I want photos of all of the people I chose to celebrate with, but also pay for it.
Yeah.
$1,000 is a great deal for wedding photography.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
That's so cheap.
Unless she's, like, trash, but...
Semi-professional.
Yeah, I don't really know what that means.
I know. I want to, like, look up their username and see if...
Like, we think you're the asshole, but hard to say.
We're like, are you talented though? Like, where's the oh my God, that's so mean. I'm sure it was great.
I'm sure it was great too. Sorry, that was not nice of me. But
But also valid, because what if the photos were taken on a really cheap DSLR and the iPhone photos are better?
Or what if the samples were like really bad?
Right. Why do you need to discuss the samples?
Maybe she's like, but we already took them and I feel bad, but they're terrible. Do I really want to pay her $1,000? That's what I mean.
Ooh.
That's the only reason. Otherwise, unless her cousin's like real shady.
Ooh, you're making a good point. What if the photos were bad and that's why she didn't want to pay $1,000? Because $1,000
for like decent wedding photos.
Either you need to be brand new and this is one of your first 5 weddings you're shooting.
You do it for free, or like for like $500.
Exactly.
No, $1,000 if you like don't know what you're doing is a little shady.
You know what I got paid for my first wedding?
$100.
$200 in Fleming Steaks gift cards.
You would.
I was gonna do it for free, and they tipped me in $200 gift cards to Fleming's. I felt like Meredith from The Office.
Oh my gosh.
That's what I always say. I'm like, she was like, did you watch The Office?
Yes.
She's getting tipped in steak coupons for some inappropriate favors. And I was like, wow, I just shot a wedding for steak like Meredith. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like because you're just deleting them, that's crazy. You could like back them up to something. Tell her before you delete them. Say, hey, I need storage. You have a week to settle up, or I'm deleting them.
Yeah. And
then she can make her decision from there. But just deleting them with no warning and being like, oh, sorry, he needed the storage space.
Yeah.
Go to CVS and get a hard drive or a flash drive.
Yeah,
whatever.
those are so cheap.
No, that hurts my feelings. You're the asshole, right? You agree?
Yeah.
Okay. You're the asshole.
Yep. That's crummy. Can't get those back.
Last story for the day. Am I the asshole for not wanting to be the wedding photographer at my best friend's wedding? I, 23 female, am not a full-time photographer. I have a regular job, but I've always loved photography, and it was a hobby in the beginning. But since I was struggling to find a job, I created an account on Instagram to post my best pictures, and luckily, somebody would like my job and hire me. Which it happened. I became good, and now I do professional photos, and of course, I'm the first to call when a friend wants to do a session. I did one for my best friend, 24 female, and she loved my work and told me she'd love for me to take her pictures when she gets married, which flattered me. One day, her mother-in-law got married, and I was one of the bridesmaids. I told her my gift for her would be my pictures, but I was uncomfortable and felt like an employee instead of a guest, and I couldn't enjoy the ceremony. Because of that, I know the bride and groom, Because of that, if I know the bride and groom, I'm not going to accept the job. Mm-hmm. My best friend is getting married this year, and I'm one of her bridesmaids. She knows my opinion about being her photographer, and she understands. I did their engagement photos, and her and the groom loved them. A couple of weeks ago, she sat down with me and asked if I could do her wedding pictures. She told me it would either be before or after the ceremony and only photos of them, and that she would pay me. She wanted to do this because wedding photographers are really expensive, and they're saving to buy a house because theirs caught on fire. If it wasn't for that, they would have hired one. I told her that I was going to think about it, but I haven't given her an answer yet. Even if I were to do this, I couldn't just take pictures of them. A wedding is something special, and I would make sure to capture every moment. Also because they have been very special to me, and I believe that we're going to be friends forever. But all of this means that I wouldn't be able to be a bridesmaid. Another reason I don't want to do it is because of the groom's family. They are all very toxic, and they would treat me as if I was just an employee, and they would get mad at me for not wanting to take their pictures and criticize me for it or my job. The wedding is already a bit controversial, and I don't want to add more drama. Also, I'm scared of a malfunction of my camera could occur, and she wouldn't have any pictures of the day since she doesn't want guests to use their phones. I don't know what to do. Am I the asshole? I just want to pause and talk about the camera malfunction part. I don't know why that was thrown in there. She shoots other weddings sometimes, so I'm like...
It sounds like she's not that experienced, though.
Okay, you're right.
She's like, there's lots of things that could go wrong. You know what I mean? If you don't have systems in place, or you don't have 2 cameras, you don't have 2 cards, or...
That's true.
Your flash doesn't work. I don't know.
And then it's your best friend's wedding, and you have a rift in the friendship.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, especially it sounds like she's someone, and I think you and I would be the same way. Like if we're going to do something, like we're going to go all in.
Yeah.
We're going to try to do our best job. We're going to show up. You know, it's hard to like half-ass it.
Well, and I completely agree with her too. When the bride is saying, oh, I just want photos of us and not the whole wedding. Like if I was this bridesmaid who they're asking to do the photos, I would also be like, no, like I'm going to shoot the ceremony. I'm going to shoot the reception. Like if I'm going to do a little bit, I'm going to do the whole thing, because otherwise you're not going to have any photos of your ceremony except for your aunt's iPhone photos. Like,
which sounds like she doesn't want anyone to use their phones either.
Right. So you're going to have no photos of the ceremony. Yeah. I don't know. How would you feel if your best friend was getting married? Would you want to be the photographer or the bridesmaid?
I wouldn't want to be the photographer. I mean, we even have like friends that are getting married this summer, and I did their engagement photos. I did their proposal. I did all their photos. Yeah. And they told me, they're like, we love your work so much. Or like my photos are all over their walls. Aww. And they're like, but we don't want you to shoot our wedding. We want you to party and dance and like be there and enjoy it.
Right. Like be a guest.
Be a guest. So I don't know. I think I have mixed feelings. I think it makes it tricky because their house burned down, it seems like. Yeah. So they don't have a lot of money, and I know things are expensive. But I think there's ways, right? Like, I mean, I don't know how involved in the wedding industry this chick is, but like hybrid, like you're doing for your sister. Like,
right. Hiring an associate and you edit.
Yeah. You could do some, then you could hire someone to do it. I mean, you could sit down and talk to her and explain. I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky. Yeah. It's like no photos versus just like good portraits. I mean, I don't know. It depends how really on a budget are these peeps, you know?
Right. Because even if they hire, there's so many Facebook groups for people who are hiring wedding vendors. Yes. Like here in Charlotte, there's a ton, and you can post on there. My sister did it to find a videographer. Like, hey, we really don't have a budget, but if there's a student who wants to build their portfolio and you're willing to work for low to no money, like let us know. We know this isn't like kind to ask, like, and it'll ruffle feathers. Yes. But if there's somebody who genuinely wants to do their portfolio, and like Leah Blake, they're a cute couple. So
they're so cute.
They'd be great for a portfolio. Yeah. And they had a ton of people reach out. But anyway, like you can find somebody who would shoot your wedding if you're okay with a newbie who has no idea and just wants a portfolio thing. Like it's at least worth putting out. And then, like the friend can still do the portraits like I'm doing for my sister's wedding, where I'm just doing the photos of them. Yeah. And then you have someone else do the rest of the wedding. But I get not wanting to do it, especially, she said the groom's family is toxic and would treat her like an employee.
So hard when like the vibe is off, and like people aren't friendly and nice. Like that wedding we just shot together, people were so sweet.
Oh my God, that one was so much fun.
Like when you show up to a wedding and people are welcoming and kind and just so happy that they're getting married, like you can tell, Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like that makes it so hard. When you just know it's going to be hard, it's going to create a lot of anxiety, especially because it sounds like she wants to, like, again, show up and do the best she can do.
Right. And she's being so kind. Like, I feel like she has such a big heart to be like, no, I'm not going to just do your portraits. I have to do the whole wedding. But does that kind of make her an asshole because the bride is just asking for couples portraits? That's all she wants. And the bridesmaid's like, no, I can't just do that.
Yeah, it's true.
The bride is like, this is all I want from you. And she's saying no. Yeah. So is she an asshole?
Maybe.
I was going to say not the asshole, but like this is the one she said she's good without the other wedding photos.
And maybe she doesn't care. Maybe she's like that other chick who wanted to do a loop.
Right.
She just wants like a couple photos and like just wants to have something.
Yeah. She's like, what am I going to frame on my wall? The pretty portraits.
Yeah. Not like the walking down the aisle. You know what I mean? It's like awesome to have those.
I just took a turn. I took a hard left on my opinion. Because, I get it. As a photographer, you want as many moments captured as possible. And I think she's coming from an incredible place of wanting to help out.
Yes.
But that's not what the bride's asking for. And it's the bride's day.
Yeah.
And all she wants are couples portraits.
Which you're right. That's all you're going to hang up or, like, really look at.
Right. I thought we were going to have one that was not the asshole. I'm going, you're the asshole. How do you feel?
I'm so torn, but I think I'm with you. I think she might be the asshole.
Right. Like their house burned down. She's like, to save money.
She just wants some photos, like the pretty ones that you hang up that like people look at forever and ever, not like the dumb cocktail hour photos that like you look at once and then they just like go to die somewhere. You know?
And even like first dance photos and stuff, they're stunning and beautiful and emotional, but it's not something you're probably going to frame and put in your house. So if she only cares about that, I mean, think about like your grandparents. I've seen my grandparents' wedding photos. There's like one photo that's framed in their house and that's all they have left. Like, I don't know.
And then it would be like a special gift to them too. You know, like to be able to give them that. Yeah. But still be present during the ceremony and everything.
Right. And still be a bridesmaid. I forgot to read this on the other ones, but it posts the overall verdict for the post. And everybody, or the general consensus was not the asshole. But I'm going, you're the asshole. Yeah. Because it's not, it doesn't matter what your opinion is of what the wedding should have covered if the bride is just asking for this one thing.
Well, and like we were saying, like the wedding industry and weddings in general have changed so much. Mm-hmm. It's like, it really, you can make it whatever you want it to be. Yeah. So if you really just want a handful of photos, you don't need all of them.
Right. For what? I mean, obviously we're photographers, so I want all of it. And I know my clients want all of it. But if you're on a budget and you have a way of getting it for free and you're willing to compromise and the bridesmaid's saying no because she has a different opinion, you're the asshole. Yeah. Dang.
YTA.
We're just calling people assholes today.
Which is bad because I feel like usually we're so nice, but
we're so optimistic. We really are. But I don't know. I think we're right. We have a wedding photographer opinion on this too. So I feel like that's even heavier. Yeah. Like, we're really slamming asshole out here. All right. So we're going to wrap up on that. What can we plug for you with social media?
Well, you can follow me at Hayley Wick Photo. And my website is currently under construction, but we'll have HayleyWickPhoto.com as well.
Woo. And then as far as the podcast, you can follow my personal work at 1828 Collective on TikTok and Instagram. And then I also have some photo education, post more about the podcast on at 1828 Photo Education. It's new. I'm working on it. And yeah, I'm also posting photo education content on TikTok at 1828 Collective. So you can follow me there. Thank you for being on the podcast. This was so much fun.
The best. Always
you need to become a like semi-regular guest.
Don't have to ask me twice.
Just for the drama podcast. Like, I just want to do the gossip with you. Like, it's so fun.
Let's do it.
Talk about second shooting. It'll be great. All right. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you again soon.